Hey, good evening to you. I'm Ann Trujillo. This is a Denver 7 News primary election update. The time is now 7 o'clock. Polls across Colorado have just closed. The Secretary of State's office is reporting that more than 1 million ballots have been returned so far today. And of course, those results are just now starting to be tabulated. So while we wait on those numbers, let's go over to Denver 7's Meghan Lopez with a look at some of the big races happening tonight. Meghan?
And Ann, we have some big ones. The governor's race, Secretary of State, congressional races. But let's start with the U.S. Senate. And for that, I want to bring in Seth Masket. He's the chair of the Political Science Department for DU. So Seth, let's start by talking about Joe O'Dea and Ron Hanks. Both of them want to take on Senator Michael Bennet, but they're so far apart in their ideologies. What really stands out to this race for you?
Yeah, it's really a fascinating race. There's one of the biggest differences between two candidates of almost any Republican primary going on this year in any state. You have O'Dea, who is really in many ways fairly moderate. That is, he's been happy to admit that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. He has taken stances that are fairly pro-choice, which is obviously a pretty hot topic right now. He actually favors keeping Obamacare, or at least parts of it, intact. Whereas Hanks is really very far in the right direction and on the right wing. That is, he is a very prominent election denier at this point. He's actually, he participated in the January 6th protests, and he's taking very far right stances on a lot of things. O'Dea seems to be enjoying a lot of support of the Republican establishment, getting a lot of funding, a lot of endorsements, but this looks to be a fairly close and competitive race right now.
And there's also pretty big differences that we've seen on their stances on climate change, on their stances on Ukraine as well. So very different, not just on the social issues, but on some of those other issues that if they do go ahead and beat Michael Bennet, that they could potentially be weighing in on with their votes. Let's go ahead and switch, though, to another interesting race. That's going to be Congressional District 3. We've got Lauren Boebert, who you might remember had a big upset of her own. She beat Scott Tipton. She was a complete political newcomer, and now she's really become a very well-known household name. And she's facing State Senator Don Quorum in a race. So what are you kind of taking away from that? What are you paying attention to? So
it's another really interesting race. Where, obviously Boebert has drawn a lot of national attention. She has a fairly bombastic political style. And it's interesting, she has drawn an interesting challenger in Don Quorum. That is, it's very rare that an incumbent loses their own party's primary. We have seen examples of that recently in Georgia, where Madison Cawthorn lost. If you're going to do that, if you're actually going to take down an incumbent, it's with someone like Don Quorum, that is someone who is respected within the party, has some sort of experience. But so far, he doesn't seem to have caught fire. That is, he isn't drawing a lot of fundraising. He isn't drawing a lot of endorsements from within the party. So we'll see how that goes. But so far, it's not looking that competitive, with one important exception in that unaffiliated voters seem to be participating in that primary. One interesting trend we've seen is that a fair number of Democrats within just the 3rd Congressional District have changed their party affiliation to unaffiliated over the last few months. This gives them the ability to, if they want, to vote in the Republican primary, and they may be voting for Quorum. We'll see how that pans out tonight.
And we're certainly seeing a lot of those unaffiliated voters, glad you brought that up, participating. Tell me a little bit about some of the differences maybe in 2018, which was the first time that unaffiliated voters could participate in these primaries, versus what we're kind of seeing right now, which is very different.
Yeah, in 2018, unaffiliated voters, of course, they receive both major parties' ballots in the mail. They get the Democratic and Republican ballot. They can decide which one to send back, and they can only send one. In 2018, people who chose the Democratic ballot outnumbered people who chose the Republican ballot by about 2 to 1. So people overwhelmingly were choosing to participate in the Democratic primary. This year, it's a lot different. By the numbers so far, unaffiliated voters are leaning toward the Republican primary by about 57 to 42%. So overwhelmingly, they're choosing to participate on the Republican side. Now, this doesn't tell us very much about how they're going to vote in November or anything like that, but it does tell us that most of the interesting contests today are on the Republican side. They have an interesting Senate race, an interesting governor's race, and a number of interesting down-ballot races that are very competitive, and so a lot of unaffiliated voters seem to be drawn to that.
Seth Masket, thank you. This is the board that we're going to be paying attention to for you guys. These are the early election results just starting to trickle in. We're going to be watching them for you all night. These races that Seth and I talked about, and of course, all of the other ones, state and federal. And
And as you said, preliminary numbers are in, so we're seeing Joe O'Dea with a slight lead, also Lauren Boebert leading, but we'll get back to those numbers a little bit later on. Of course, many candidates are holding watch parties tonight as those results come in. Denver 7's Rob Harris is in Denver at the Joe O'Dea for Senate campaign event tonight. Rob?
Yeah, and then actually just within the last few minutes, it officially started at 7 o'clock. And Joe O'Dea is here tonight. We're not expecting to hear from him, though, until the race is officially called. However, leading up to the event, I have been texting some reps from his campaign who have been telling me what their plans are for tonight and weighing in on the race so far. Now, what they're telling me is that the spending disparity against their campaign has been huge, with Democrats actually propping up Ron Hanks, Joe O'Dea's opponent. As you've heard us mention before, and our analyst earlier, Hanks is more conservative. He's questioned the legitimacy of the 2020 election. And so some Democratic super PACs have been actually funding that campaign, running ads against Joe O'Dea. So their spokesperson tonight is weighing and pointing out that disparity in spending. But what they tell me is they feel they've built up the right war machine, as they put it, to feel confident going into tonight. As you mentioned, Dan, we're seeing that slight edge right now, but still very early with the polls just closing. And
all right, thank you, Rob. And that is all for this Denver 7 News update. Stay with us for the latest results in tonight's primary races. We'll be back here at 7:30 with our next update. Have a good evening.